They say when you listen to a witness, you become a witness too. And I haven't seen anybody do the job better of transmitting the story of the Holocaust like Irving Roth does. My teacher, my mentor, a wonderful person, Irving Roth, our Holocaust survivor this evening.
Thank you very much. The March of the Living gives me an opportunity to participate and hopefully contribute to one of the most critical missions that Jewish education has in the 21st century. It is my deep desire to expose and hopefully commit Jewish 16 and 18-year-olds intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically to the Jewish past, to the Jewish present, and hopefully be committed to the Jewish future. Not just from one group, all groups, all religious persuasions within Judaism. On a practical level, this is what happens. While we're still in New York, familiar, comfortable surroundings, I meet with students. I, as a survivor, and I, as a Holocaust educator, I meet with them and give them some insight into the Jewish past of Europe. I give them a past of their grandparents and great-grandparents, so they understand and feel what that generation went through. I hope that this first introduction gives them a sense and some insight that they can contemplate, in fact, on the flight from New York to Warsaw. So they're coming to Warsaw with some insight. Of course, after an overnight flight, they arrive in the land of their great-grandparents. Cities and towns totally unpronounceable by them. But a place where Jews prospered for centuries, were persecuted for centuries, and unfortunately most of them were murdered. As we come to Auschwitz, they see the mounds of hair, tens of thousands of shoes, prayer shawls, once worn by the Jews just like themselves. They see the ashes, the remains of hundreds of thousands of Jewish human beings. We stand together on the selection ramp in Auschwitz. A cattle car that carried the Jews to their death is parked on the rusty tracks. I tell them about my arrival in Auschwitz in May of 1944, age 14. There I was greeted by menacing guards with machine guns and saw flames emanating from chimneys. The guards ordered me to get in line and leave all my belongings behind. My grandfather was on my right, my brother on the left. To these students, I describe my grandfather, his kindness and caring for others, his ability to fix anything that was broken. I tell them about my brother and his love of study of Talmud and playing the violin. I speak of my 10-year-old cousin Edith, who held my grandfather's hand. I attempt to transport these students to May of 1944, so they can be standing with me in Auschwitz on the selection ramp. I want them to internalize that experience. In this way, the Holocaust is no longer just a word in the dictionary or on a computer screen. It becomes part of the student's emotional experience. As we exit through the arch of the Auschwitz death camp, I ask each one of the young people not to abandon the souls of the Kedoshim, of the Holy Ones. I ask each one of them to take the souls of the 1.1 million Jews that were murdered there with them to Yerushalayim, to New York. Days later, the plane finally takes off and lands in a very modern airport in Lod. Air-conditioned buses normally pick us up and we travel to Jerusalem. I tell them, look at the contrasts. Modern buildings butting up against ancient structures. They go to a place where they can physically touch the foundation of the building that King Solomon built. They walk on the stone-paved streets where Rome used to rule. In fact, a place where Christianity was born. By the way, they experienced this while holding a cell phone in their hand. Incidentally, so they remember, that's where the cell phone was invented, in Israel. They leave the crowded cities. They are treated to miles of green fields. These green fields, 100 years ago, were malaria-infested marshes. The Zionist dream becomes real to them. But as they travel north towards Lebanon and south to Gaza, meet and speak with Israeli soldiers their own age, they experience the hostile border. They become aware of the dangers that Jews like themselves face on a daily basis. The ancient ruins, the modern skyscrapers, the throngs of Jews and Muslims and Christians filling the cities, the green orchards, they're all part of the Jewish land. By this time, their land. What is the success of March of the Living? The success is that by the time the El Al airplane takes off from Lod, each student, each 16, 17, and 18-year-old is transformed. Many of them don't even remember who they are. They have identities which define them as soccer players and football players. But when they take off in that airplane, it is my hope, and I've seen it happen. They're men and women whose souls are tied to the Jewish past, the Jewish present, and the future of the Jewish people, to which they are totally and completely committed. Thank you very much.